Greetings. This is Robert L. Muhammad with National Network View. Tomorrow, the Nubian Leadership Circle presents part 2 of the National Black Leadership Summit. Minister Louis Farrakhan will have opening remarks this Saturday. You don't want to miss it. Here's a clip of last year's summit.
And now we have to survive because the death plan is in motion. What is the death plan? You say, well, black folks are the most prone to the COVID virus. Why is that? Because of the comorbidity conditions, diabetes, heart failure, obesity. Name all the comorbidity problems. We lead in that. Yes, well, let me ask you this. How did we get in this condition? Come on. Did you know that there's food that they prepare for you and me in the hood, that they kill us by zip code? When they know your zip code, they send the worst food in for us to consume.
The all-new Final Call Radio celebrates their 1-year anniversary with a radiothon from April the 2nd to April the 4th. We were blessed to hear from the minister on yesterday.
To all the sounds that are out there, don't forget the sound of Final Call Radio. It's the sweetest sound this side of heaven. And if you act on that sound rather than applaud on that sound, then heaven will be at our feet. May God bless each of you who listen. May God bless and increase the blessings of each of you who want to see this continue by supporting it. Thank you so much from my heart to yours. I love you much. Assalamu alaikum.
Go to radiothon.finalcall.com to support. The minister during Savior's Day 2021 spoke about the influence of Black celebrities that they have on us to take the vaccine.
When I tell you don't take the vaccine, television comes on, radio comes on. My wonderful artists and sports figures come on, showing us their courage to take the vaccine. Some of you are being used and don't know it. Your fame, your celebrity, your influence, your money. Now you're being bought and paid for the destruction of your people. This is another form of the great betrayal.
15 doses of the Johnson & Johnson's single-shot COVID-19 vaccine was ruined and determined defective after failing to pass quality control standards.
Well, we know that many people were interested in this particular vaccine because it involves a single shot. But this setback here could create a bit of a stumbling block. So this issue, we're told, stemming from a plant in Baltimore. In a statement, Johnson & Johnson says, quote, the quality control process identified one batch of drug substance that did not meet quality standards. So we're talking about 15 million doses here. According to the New York Times, that's how many doses of the J&J vaccine that were ruined. According to the company, the defective batch never advanced to the filling and finishing stages of its manufacturing process. Johnson & Johnson says it's working to correct the issue. They still hope to deliver 24 million of their single-shot doses nationwide through the month of April. Now,
in NV News, Nina Shabazz and Tay Uhuru discusses their tours to many different countries in Africa.
As far as my travels around the world, I haven't had any horror stories. A lot of countries are a lot safer than the United States, including Africa. They have dozens of countries that have lower crime rates, lower gun violence, less mass shootings, and of course, less racism. So when I'm in Africa, I tend to feel stress-free. I tend to feel welcome. To narrow it down to one African country, that's almost impossible. But I will say, a place like Egypt, where we learn about ancient African history, 5,000, 10,000 years ago, the Valley of the Kings, the Valley of the Queens, the pyramids of Giza, the Step Pyramid. These places show us how great we were before slavery. And that's a feeling that I think all African Americans should have. And, also Ghana, I would give it up to Ghana because a lot of us are still looking for closure and reconnection in terms of the transatlantic slave trade, so we can see what our ancestors went through. We can enter the door of no return. We can visit the slave dungeons, the slave ports, and we can also learn about the reconnection and the offerings that places like Ghana have made to us as far as land, as far as citizenship, as far as asking for forgiveness.
Abdul Haq discusses the issues of police brutality against Blacks and the Newark Peace Agreement as a unifying force against the actions of the open enemy.
It's a combination of several factors that's now encouraging our people to do more as it relates to being more actively involved, as it relates to not just my community, but our community. One of the major problems that we as a people face in our community is bystander apathy. It's called bystander apathy. When you see someone doing something, you feel since they have it, you don't have to participate. But I can see that North is inhaling the spirit of unity and cooperation and community, real community, not just the word, but community in practice. And we are implementing and instituting the principles that we have been given from giants like Marcus Garvey, Noble Drew Ali, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So the teachings have always been here, but now it's time that we implement these teachings and all that they have given us. So I'm humbled and I'm honored to be a part of such a great initiative that's not just happening in the North, but in urban cities all throughout America. So all praise is due to Allah.
Taquela Muhammad discusses how we can prepare for food shortages and develop a disaster preparedness plan in the event evacuation is necessary.
So what should we have in a disaster preparedness plan that helps us in the event of evacuation?
Yes, sir. First and foremost, we all should have our go bags with us. A go bag is a bag that you basically put together for you and your family, each member of the family of your household, where you have enough items to last you for a bare minimum of 3 days, which includes food, clothing, some type of shelter that you're able to put on your back comfortably and be able to walk for long distance or periods of time. You also want to have those same storage containers in your car or at your workplace, as well as your children's schools if they're in school. And you want to make sure that you are preparing your family by having those evacuations, practicing without utilities to know how to cook or how to be able to survive without having heat, without having food, without being able to cook your foods, and just practice with your family. Maybe do a camping thing where you all are turning your lights off and turning off the electricity just for that day to see how you all cope and survive during that time, as well as walking long periods of time with your backpack on to see how far off your family can make it during any disaster. So the biggest thing is properly preparing before the disaster strikes.
NNV Weekly contributor Brian E. Muhammad discusses the UN declaration condemning Egypt.
What has prompted this action by the UN?
Well, Rosalind, it was actually pressure from human rights groups and organizations from around the world who wanted to make sure that the problem of Egypt was placed on the Human Rights Council radar screen. Egypt is a member state, along with these other states that you mentioned, the 31 countries that signed a letter to condemn Egypt for its human rights abuse problem. And so it took outside groups, independent groups from around the world to put pressure on the Human Rights Commission to take this up recently at their 46th session that just ended, in fact, a week ago. And so really it was pressure from the rights organizations from around the world that brought this on.
Urban gardener and NNV contributor Vivian Muhammad discussed container gardens and greenhouses.
What are starter plants and what is the process for growing them?
Starter plants, also known as seedlings, are plants that you can buy at any kind of garden center. And those plants are then transplanted into a garden versus, for instance, direct sow or direct seeding, which means you take the actual seed and plant it directly into the soil. Because we live in Indiana in zone 6, because the whole United States is put up in zones, and in our particular zone and in other zones north of us and a few south of us, when we grow and what we can grow is very dependent on what month it is. And because we can't really get started until middle of May, as far as putting things like tomatoes, peppers, eggplant, watermelon, cantaloupe, all those in the garden, if we put them in too early, they will run the risk of being frosted. We have very late, Indianapolis, Indiana is notorious for late winter weather. And so all those plants would die in any type of weather below 32 degrees. Today it's 26 degrees. So you kind of get the idea. So starter plants lets us get a head start on the season, which is why they call them starter plants, because we start them indoors and then transplant them.
Hip hop artist, writer, and MC Taji Akib shared information on his latest venture, Project Sunrise.
Now, on Project Sunrise, you filmed in Senegal. What was the environment like out there?
It was a little rough because, it's not, I didn't have the things I was used to here in America, the comforts that we had here. My sister actually lives over there. She has a foundation that's on land in like the countryside in Senegal, in Bojin. And they live kind of, they live off the land pretty much. And so it was a rough lifestyle, but the people were very embracing of what I was doing over there, which was a little bit surprising because I heard the Senegalese people can be a little, they can be private and proud and, they don't like cameras on, that kind of thing, but they actually embraced it. And I actually, to be honest with you, I got more support on it from people who barely spoke the same language as me there than I did ever on projects here. You know what I'm saying? So it was an eye-opening experience. It was enlightening. And by the time that I left, I was there for about 2 weeks. By the time I left, I didn't want to leave.
This week, we discussed with Dr. Akili the effects of diabetes and the higher risk of COVID virus complications among Blacks.
You give us some information as some of the symptoms that one might experience.
Yes, excellent question. So typically, how people usually will present and usually get diagnosed with diabetes is a combination of a few things, mostly being fatigued, excessive urination, typically at night. Sometimes they have problems with like swallowing and just other things that occur when a person is dehydrated. Of course, sugar draws water in the body like a sponge does water. And so when your sugar is high, it's being pulled out of the tissues, urinate a lot of water into the toilet. And so the body winds up being dehydrated and not able to function as it should. Of course, the body is 75% water. So it just makes sense that if you drain water out of the body and the body is no longer in that percentage that it should be, then things start to go south.
Let's pause for announcements from our sponsors, and we'll return with Charles Muhammad with How to Eat to Live.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
This is Sister Sajda Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajda House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahouse.com.
The hashtag #BankBlack social media campaign made strides not only in revolutionizing how we bank, but also how we think. The movement inspired thousands of African Americans across the country to transfer or deposit millions of dollars into Black-owned banks. These are banks that will invest in urban communities, employ African Americans, support Black businesses, and inspire Black home ownership. This is a very proud moment for our culture as we are taking small, but significant, steps towards building Black power through Black wealth.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Anissa Muhammad with nnvnews.com.
As people begin fasting, impurities are removed from their bloodstream and the blood sugar levels are lowered. The longer fasting continues, other changes occur.
Here's a breakdown of what happens to your body when you fast in each stage of the 30 days of fasting. Stage 1. During the first couple of days of fasting, both blood sugar level and blood pressure drop. The body starts the cleansing process, and the first few days are the hardest as they are usually accompanied with headaches, dizziness, nausea, and intense hunger. Stage 2. During the second stage, the body becomes accustomed to the fasting schedule and the digestive system is able to rest. The digestive system focuses its energy on cleansing the body and healing the cells as the white blood cells in the body start to become more active. During this stage, the organs start their repair process as well. Stage 3. By the third stage, energy levels will have increased, your mind is able to concentrate better, and an overall feeling of wellness overtakes you. During fasting, the body's healing process becomes a lot more efficient, and so the body repairs any damaged cells during this stage. During this stage, the colon, liver, kidney, lungs, and skin are detoxing by eliminating toxins. Stage 4. During the last 10 days of fasting in Ramadan, the body has become accustomed to the fasting process. Your body becomes more energetic and you experience improved memory and concentration. At this stage, the organs are finishing up their healing process, and once all toxins are removed, the body is able to function at its maximum capacity.
Joining us to discuss this is NNV contributor Charles Muhammad. Welcome, brother. How are you doing?
I'm fine, sir.
Good. Question. So should not 3 good meals help us to stay healthy?
Well, no. Three meals are really for children, women who are nursing, or pregnant, or people who are very sickly. So teaches the Honorable Elijah Muhammad how to eat to live. The reverse is true, rather, when we talk about eating for better health. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says in Book 1 that the fact that fasting is a cure for 90% of our ills is known by medical scientists, but they do not teach you that. So the adage is 3 good meals a day is good for you, but rather it shouldn't be promoted. It should be promoted to fast in order as a healthy principle. Because even if you try to fast and you come up short, you still are making yourself more healthy and boosting your immune system.
So are you saying that fasting is only good for curing sickness?
Oh, no, more than that. See, when you increase the frequency of fasting, it triggers what is called a cellular renewal called autophagy. Now, a diet is a rate of eating. That's what the word actually means. So when people say, I'm going on a diet, they mean that they're bringing themselves under a regulation or regularity in eating. Because irregularity brings excess fat and illness. So in his book, The Overuse of Antibiotics, Martin Blazer talks about how when we get sick, we begin to take antibiotics and other medications to heal ourselves. When fasting is free, all you have to do is cut back on eating, and you will immediately see an improvement in your health, stemming from your gut. The majority of our illnesses stem or come from the gut area of the body.
So what are some other benefits, besides curing sickness and obviously weight loss?
Well, there's another saying that if you free the mind, the body will follow. So when you fast, you're basically renewing your cellular structure of your body, and you're cleaning the body. And also, you are allowing one of the most important organs in your body to do its job. That's the liver. And the liver begins a process called ketosis. Now, ketosis is when your body begins to take out the fats of the body and then bring it into the liver, and the liver turns it into what are called ketones. And then the ketones are like straight wide up to your brain. It's like fuel for the brain. And we as Muslim followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we go through that process when we go fast during Ramadan, when we don't eat during the sunlight.
So you mentioned Ramadan. Can you explain this to our audience, Ramadan?
Yes, well, all monotheistic major religions, I should say, promote fasting as a principle on multiple levels. It could be like for Lent, not eating meat, they eat fish. But within the Muslim world, Ramadan is actually a month. It's the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, where the entire community fasts, meaning they go without food and water, other drink, during the daylight hours. And then at nighttime is when we break the fast.
So no food, but not even water?
Well, water is essential to human life, but not more essential than your devotion to your creator. But, listen, when the sun goes down, have all the water that you want. You'll only want a certain amount because the body cannot retain more than it naturally can store for what it uses. So excess water, you know what happens. You'll urinate the rest of that out. But even when you stop drinking water, you are still giving your body a chance to heal itself and balance itself without even water. Water is a compound, and it holds up space. It has an atomic weight. So it's better to allow the water to leave the system and don't drink it during the daylight hours, but then you rely on your body to eat up its excess fat as fuel for the brain, which is one of the best things you can do for yourself.
Wow. So I understand that the Nation of Islam has a unique history with fasting during Ramadan. Can you explain this?
Well, yes. Initially, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad required his followers to fast during the 12th month of the year, which is December, under the Gregorian calendar here in America. Then Islamic historians have found that the first revelation of the Holy Quran fell in Ramadan over 1400 years ago, which also coincided at the same time of the 12th month of the Gregorian year in December. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad wanted us to fast during December to break us out of the celebration of Christmas. But then he added this. He says, in the month of fasting, we shall keep our minds and hearts clean, and we shall not indulge in eating of meats, land meats. You may eat fish and such fat products which come from land animals, such as butter and cheese. Now, if you notice that he puts in there eating fish and butter and cheese. Now, even though now we're fasting along with the Islamic world, we still can carry that principle of eating fish, butter and cheese, and dairy into this upcoming Ramadan fast. Now, these are foods that are very rich in vitamin D. And as we know, in this era of COVID, vitamin D deficiency is one of the leading contributors to contracting the COVID disease. So milk, eggs, and fish mixed with the sun rays boost vitamin D in the body. This is prophetic, preventative technology from the past that we use for today. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad must have seen this coming. So let us stick to that diet of the fish, the milk, and the cheese, and we should enjoy our fast on Ramadan.
Wow. Brother Charles Muhammad, thank you once again for an informative discussion on how to eat to live. Let us pause for a second for announcements from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with the Al-Asr Report and Student Minister Donald Muhammad.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Thank you for tuning in to NNV News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, National Network View. This is Clifton Muhammad with nnvnews.com.
Worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button, or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
This is Sister Sajda Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajda House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. As we renovate and restore the former home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we have recycled the old copper gutters and downspouts and created a 1-ounce 39mm coin made of 100% pure copper. Each coin is professionally graded and has its own barcode and registration number. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahouse.com.
The Al-Asr Report, current events and commentary on the time and what must be done. As dissatisfaction grows with the American government, what will be the result of injustice?
A state lawmaker was arrested while she was protesting outside the governor's office. It is something that's being all over social media, the fact that this woman was taken into custody and arrested while she was part of that protest, or a member of the state legislature in Georgia. And the other thing that is drawing a lot of attention today is a picture of how it looked the moment the governor signed the bill, noting that in that picture, all of the people who are standing in support are indeed white men.
In part 2 of The Time and What Must Be Done, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan warned us about corruption and confusion in our government.
Look at the confusion in our government. Why, the latest statistics say that 11% of the American people favor the U.S. Congress. That means 89% of the American people are dissatisfied with the legislative body of this nation. The people are not satisfied completely with the judicial branch, nor are they completely satisfied with the executive branch. So when you have dissatisfaction in a country that has almost reached 100%, this type of dissatisfaction demands a change.
Joining us to discuss this is Student Minister Donald Muhammad of Muhammad Mosque number 28. Welcome to the show, my brother. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. It is indeed an honor to be on this beautiful program.
So before we get started, we want to make sure that we get to see all of our beautiful brother. Can you just adjust your body a little bit to the left, to your left? All right. Good. So we're going to want to get right into the questions, dear brother. What are your thoughts on this voting law in Georgia and the recent appeal or call from prominent Black executives, business people in America to fight this Republican-led wave of restricting voter laws?
Well, sir, that's a very excellent question. But voter suppression among our people, against our people, has always been ever since the Great Reconstruction period in the United States. I've started in 1865. But right now in Georgia, the recent phenomena that have taken place politically, that means the white people are running afraid, because when Sister Stacey Abrams almost won the governorship, and also in recent election in January, where a Black man actually ran and won the Senate, went to Congress, went to Washington as a senator. So all of these things are happening. But what happened was there was a political awakening taking place in Georgia. So therefore, the Republicans in Georgia, the white people in Georgia, once again try to suppress the voting rights of our people, which is very evident right now. Of course, I applaud the former corporate heads, in the United States, and other Black leaders, business-wise, to try to do something to stop it. But I think it is a bit too late now, simply because the law has already passed. And sometimes we always are working in the rear versus being proactive when it comes to politics.
Yes, sir. So what do you think is at the root of this Republican-led effort throughout this country to restrict voting rights? And is there a problem with our existing voting laws that require this sweeping change?
No, I don't see a problem with the existing voting laws. I think there has been an awakening in Georgia. For the first time, and I can remember on national news network, I believe it was, I'm not going to mention the network, but they mentioned the Black Belt in Georgia. But if you notice, all of the southern states, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, actually Louisiana and Arkansas, they all have Black belts. What that means is that there are a majority, or close to a majority, of Black people who reside there. And normally what Black people do, they are not really concerned with voting, but some way, somehow, Sister Stacey Abrams and her team, they went down and woke that group of our people up, and they went to the polls and voted, and we saw the greatness of our population and the strength of our voting power, and now what they want to do is suppress that by creating laws. And they go back to 1865 when we put over 1,500 people in after Reconstruction, doing Reconstruction, put over 1,500 people in the state houses. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, we were ruling. We sent 6 people to Congress. The first one, I believe, the gentleman's name was Hiram Revel. And they saw that, and that's when the Night Riders came out. That's when the Ku Klux Klan came out. That was voter suppression right there. And therefore, they put fear in our people's heart. So now what they are doing is so blatant, but we kind of thank Allah for Donald Trump, who brought something up and brought something out where our people can actually see it and let us know things have not changed at all. They cannot live under Black rule.
You're absolutely right. You know, a number of people are referring to this new law as Jim Crow 2.0. Why do you think they have evoked a horrible era in Americans' history in her treatment of Black people right up from slavery?
Yes. Well, they cannot help themselves, brother. It is literally impossible for us to live in peace together. And according to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So basically, you know, they want to continue to rule. They want to continue to rule. They cannot fathom the state of Georgia and no other state coming out of their hands and Black people ruling. And let me say this. Usually when our people go into political office, they go in for a job. They definitely don't go in to rule in a lot of cases. And also they play the numbers game with us. Even in the city of St. Louis, where I live, St. Louis is approximately 75% Black, but they keep saying it is 45% Black. So they play the numbers game and you know, kind of don't let us understand the power of our numbers. So therefore, we don't exercise our political power in the way that it should be. But I thank Allah for our people in Georgia, the Black political leadership, because they came up to the bat and they performed. And remember, Georgia has an outlet to the sea.
All right. So what does this new law tell us about white America and her thinking toward Black people in this country up to this present moment? And how would you characterize the current racial atmosphere and political climate in the United States?
Well, you can always determine based on the progress of Black people. They has always tried to hold us back. Go all the way back to Black Wall Street in Tulsa. Go all the way back to changing. They are doing this in 43 states all over the United States right now, even in the Missouri. Missouri is what they call a red state. So therefore, they have changed a lot of the voter laws here as well. Also, in the city of St. Louis, they had a proposition called Prop D that took away the partisan political voting elections, and then they are nonpartisan now. So now there's a runoff, even when two people win, the first two that wins in a primary has to do a runoff now. All of this is designed to stop Black rule, my brother.
Yes, sir. So, I mean, you know, based on your last statements from the last question, what must Black people do to survive and progress in this current atmosphere and the heightened racial animosity and the political instability?
Yes, sir. I mean, we have to all understand that politics is designed for white people to rule. So therefore, once we understand this, that means that we should be able to have the strength to go for self, to do something for ourselves, and that's basic. That means we need to develop every institution that it takes that can civilize and socialize a people within the United States of America. That's from finances, politics, education, and all of it. We need to take control of it, educate our own, buy from our own, build our own, and that takes some doing. But at the same time, we can get around the political rule, really, of the Republicans and white people. It doesn't matter whether they're a Democrat or a Republican, my brother. You got to remember, during Reconstruction, it was the Democrats who really came and put fear in our hearts. So therefore, you know, Black people give all of our dedication to the Democratic Party, but look and see what the Democratic Party is doing with us now. They are not speaking out against such a rule that's taking place in Georgia. You know, they would never do it and the corporations, they're not going anywhere because we are still consumers, and we're going to, you know, but we have to continue to educate our people on every facet of life here in the United States of America. But it takes a collective effort. It takes all of us. And regardless of where we go, we still going to have to deal with the blueprint of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
That's right. Student Minister Donald Muhammad of Muhammad Mosque number 28 in St. Louis. Thank you, my brother, for coming on to your Al-Asr report, NNV News, and sharing with us today. We thank you for coming, and we hope that you'll come back and continue to share with our audience. Thank you, Charles, for your contribution, as always, from How to Eat to Live. Thank you all for joining us today and tuning into NNV News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comments section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel, National Network View. This is Robert L. Muhammad with National Network View News.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps us to highlight solutions for a brighter tomorrow. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
Greetings from National Network View. This week's Final Call cover story headline reads, Food Shortages, COVID-19, and Fears of a Major Crisis. The coronavirus pandemic is disrupting food supply chains and hurting multiple food industries. People are worrying that the pestilence could impact the ability for Americans to eat. This FCN Volume Number 26 edition features the middle page article by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. This message is entitled, The Key to Success is to Do for Self. To read more, subscribe to finalcalldigital.com and tune in to the all-new Final Call Radio. This is the nnvnews.com Final Call Cover Report.